Hi, I'm Angel, and if you're anything like me, you're expecting an election on November 8th. We have more propositions on the ballot on November 8th, 2016, than any other state. And in fact, we have very important ballots coming up as well. There are 16 in total. Proposition 51 through 67. And if you live in California and you're a registered voter or someone in your household is, then you probably have received this. For the general election that we're all so looking forward to. Well, to help it make it easy for us, they give us quick reference guides to see what's going on. These quick reference guides go over each proposition in order, number 51 through 67, and they state at the top in the upper bar here, they have what the proposition is about, what it's regarding. Then they have what it means to vote for it and what it means to vote against it. They also have the pros and cons listed, as well as who is supporting it, who is for it, and who is against it. All right? I believe that most people who are responsible enough to get registered to vote probably are very busy being responsible in making a means of a living. So probably looking after family or working hard for themselves, their future, their current family or future family, or in school. I know the first time I voted, I was in school. But I wanted to do us all a favor. I thought it would be kind of helpful to just make it easy for you. And I'm going to read these to you. I'm going to read the summary. I'm going to go in order from 51 down to 67. And then I'm going to read you the summary here, the yes and no, what it means to vote for it, what it means to vote against it, what the pros and cons are, and who is supporting it and who is against it. The defining parties, those who want their names stated. I will keep my criticisms up here. All right. No further ado. Light is of the essence. Proposition 51. School bonds. Funding for K-12 school and community college facilities initiative statute. Summary states, authorizes $9 billion in general obligation bonds for new construction and modernization of K-12 public school facilities, charter schools and vocational education facilities, and California community college facilities. Fiscal impact, state costs about $17.6 billion to pay off both principal $9 billion and interest $8.6 billion on the bonds. Payments of about $500 million per year for 35 years. What your vote means. A yes vote in this measure means the state could sell $9 billion in general obligation bonds for education facilities, $7 billion for K-12 public school facilities, $2 billion for community college facilities. A no vote on this measure means the state would not have the authority to sell new general obligation bonds for K-12 public schools and community college facilities. Arguments. The argument for pro this bill, our children deserve safe schools where they can learn. But many schools and community colleges need repairs to meet health and safety standards. Proposition 51 will fix deteriorating schools, upgrade classrooms, and provide job training facilities for veterans and vocational education. All projects are accountable to local taxpayers. The con in this, Proposition 51 was created for greedy developers to exploit taxpayers for profit. Proposition 51 stops legislators from providing fair school funding. Disadvantaged schools are left behind. There's no improvement in taxpayer accountability. It does nothing to fight waste, fraud, and abuse. Governor Brown opposes Prop 51. Vote no on Prop 51. Details about the argument that is pro this bill, you can go to yes on Proposition 51, Californians for Quality Schools, info at californiaforqualityschools.com, www.californiaforqualityschools.com. If you'd like more information on the argument against this bill, you can go to G. Rick Marshall, Chief Financial Officer of California Taxpayer Action Network. His phone number, 310-346-4725. And you can go to Rick at stopproposition51.org and stopprop51.org. The summary reads, extends indefinitely an existing statute that imposes fees on hospitals to fund Medi-Cal healthcare services, care for uninsured patients, and children's health coverage. Fiscal impact, uncertain fiscal impact, ranging from relatively little impact to annual state general fund savings of around $1 billion and increased funding for public hospitals in the low hundreds of millions of dollars annually. What your vote means. A yes vote, an existing charge imposed on most private hospitals that is scheduled to end on January 1st, 2018, under current law, would be extended permanently. It would be harder for the legislator to make changes to it. Revenue raised would be used to create state savings, increase payments for hospital services to low-income Californians, and provide grants to public hospitals. A no vote on this measure means an existing charge imposed on most private hospitals would end on January 1st, 2018, unless additional action by the legislator extended it. The pro argument is yes on Proposition 52 extends the current state Medi-Cal hospital fee program, which generates over $3 billion a year in federal matching funds that pay for health care services for children, seniors, and low-income families. Proposition 52 prohibits the legislator from diverting this money for other purposes without voter approval. The con argument to this says removes all accountability and oversight of over $3 billion of taxpayer dollars, gives $3 billion to hospital CEOs with no independent audit and no requirement. The money is spent on health care, public funds, can be spent on lobbyists, perks, and salaries for hospital bureaucrats instead of children and seniors. You got to read the details on that one. Okay, for additional information about this Proposition 52, you can find more information at Yes on Proposition 52, a coalition of California Association of Hospitals and Health Systems and nonprofit healthcare organizations. Info at yesproposition52.org and www.yesproposition52.org. For more information about the cons, and therefore against this bill, you can find more information. George M. Yin at Californians for Hospital Accountability and Quality Care. Okay, moving along. Quick reference guide. Proposition 53, revenue bonds, statewide voter approval. Initiative constitutional amendment requires state voter approval before any revenue bonds can be issued or sold by the state for certain projects if the bond amounts exceeds $2 billion. State and local fiscal impacts are unknown and would depend on which projects are affected by the measure and what actions government agencies and voters take in response to the measure's voting requirement. What your vote means. A yes vote on this measure means a no on this measure would mean state revenue bonds could continue to be used without voter approval. Arguments. The pro argument supporting this Proposition 53 requires voter approval for state megaprojects costing over $2 billion in state revenue bonds, like the Bullet Train, doesn't impact local projects, increases transparency so taxpayers know the true costs, holds politicians accountable, and stops blank checks. If taxpayers have to pay, they should have a say. The argument that is con Proposition 53 says Prop 53 erodes local control by requiring statewide vote on some local infrastructure projects, empowers voters in faraway regions to reject your community's needs. Prop 53 jeopardizes water supply, bridge safety, and other repairs. No exemption for emergencies, disasters. For additional information about the argument for this bill, you can go to 925 Stop Blank Checks at 925 University Avenue in Sacramento, California, 95825. Their phone number is 916-500-7040. You can also visit them or email them directly at info@stopblankchecks.com and www.yeson53.com. For more information about the argument against Proposition 53, you can go to Californians to Protect Local Control, info@nop53.com, nop53.com. Proposition 54, legislation, and proceedings, initiative, constitutional amendment, and statute. The summary of Proposition 54 reads, prohibits legislators from passing any bill unless published on internet for 72 hours before vote. Interesting. Requires legislators to record its proceedings and post on internet. Authorizes use of recordings, fiscal impact, one-time cost of $1 million to $2 million, and ongoing cost of about $1 million annually to record legislative meetings and make videos of those meetings available on the internet. What your vote means. A yes vote on this measure means any bill, including changes to the bill, would have to be made available to legislators and posted on the internet for at least 72 hours before the legislator could pass it. The legislator would have to ensure that its public meetings are recorded and make videos of those meetings available on the internet. What a no vote on this measure means, rules and duties of the legislators would not change. Roles and duties of the legislator would not change. No change. Arguments that are pro Proposition 54 reads, Proposition 54 stops special interest surprise legislation from passing either legislative house without 72 hours for review. Proposition 54 posts all legislators' public meetings online so voters can review legislators' public actions and bipartisan coalition of good government, taxpayer minority, business, and environmental groups backs Proposition 54. Requires no new tax money. The argument that is con this vote. A no vote continues free internet and TV access for any California citizens to see how laws are made. A no vote also prevents special interests like tobacco, oil, and drug companies from delaying passage of state laws. A no vote also means limits political attack ads. For additional information for the argument for Proposition 54, and if you'd like to hear more about the argument why they're against this bill, name and information. Proposition 55. Tax extension to fund education and healthcare initiative, constitutional amendment. Summary reads, extends by 12 years the temporary personal income tax increases enacted in 2012 on earnings over $250,000, with revenues allocating 12 through K schools, California community colleges, and in certain years, healthcare. Fiscal impact: increased tax revenues of $4 billion to $9 billion annually from 2019 to 2030, depending on economy and stock market. Increased funding for schools, community colleges, healthcare for low-income people, budget reserves, and debt payments. What your vote means. A no vote on this measure means income tax increases on high-income taxpayers would expire as scheduled at the end of 2018. Arguments that are pro Proposition 55 read as follows. Proposition 55 helps children thrive. Proposition 55 prevents $4 billion in cuts to California public schools and increases children's access to health care by maintaining current tax rates on the wealthiest Californians with strict accountability requirements. We can't go back to the deep cuts we faced during the last recession. Proposition 57 is one of the most important and pertinent propositions on the ballot November 8th in California. Proposition 57 is criminal sentences, parole, juvenile criminal proceedings and sentencing, constitutional amendment, and statute. The summary reads: allows parole consideration for nonviolent felons, authorizes sentence credits for rehabilitation, good behavior, and education. Juvenile court judge decides whether juvenile would be prosecuted as an adult. Fiscal impact: net state savings likely in the tens of millions of dollars annually, depending on implementation. Net county cost of likely a few $1,000,000 annually. What your vote means. A yes vote on Proposition 57 means certain state prison inmates convicted of nonviolent felony offenses would be considered for release earlier than otherwise. State prison system could award additional sentencing credits to inmates for good behavior and approved rehabilitative or educational achievements. Youths must have a hearing in juvenile court before they could be transferred to an adult court. Youths must have a hearing in juvenile court before being transferred to an adult court. Again, for the meaning of this, for the relevance of this, I'm not going to state my own opinion. So the no vote on this measure would mean there will be no changes in the inmate release process. The state prison system could not award additional sentencing credits to inmates, and youths could continue to be tried in adult court without having a hearing in juvenile court. The arguments that is pro Proposition 57 is California public safety leaders and victims of crime support Proposition 57. The Public Safety and Rehabilitation Act of 2016, Proposition 57, focuses resources on keeping dangerous criminals behind bars while rehabilitating juvenile and adult inmates and saving tens of millions of taxpayer dollars. Yes, on Proposition 57. The argument that is against Proposition 57 reads as follows. For more information about Proposition 57, you can contact James Harrison. Their phone number here is 510-346-6200. That was 510-346-6200. And you can find out more information about it at www.voteforproposition57.com. That's it. For more information about the argument that is against Proposition 57, you can contact William Kolke, and his phone number is 916-409-7401. You can email him at will@stopearlyrelease.com and www.stopearlyrelease.com.